to see concrete action on the ground to bring an end to the bloodshed. Jamal Al-Shayal, AlJazeera, Salloum on the Egypt-Libya border.
They just keep coming. Ras Jadir, the closest route out for those leaving western Libya. Many of them are Tunisians, some from Tripoli. They describe an escalation of violence in the last 24 hours. Each person says they're lucky to be alive.
They caught us and they told the pro-Gaddafi people, these are the dogs we caught them. They handcuffed us and put our faces to the ground.
Tension on this border is growing. There is a discreet army presence, but the Tunisians are very aware of Libya's military might just a few hundred meters away. A man who says he's a Libyan opposition leader is told to bring his flag down. Omar Mamdi left Libya on Sunday. He says the situation there is desperate.
The Libyan people are burning. Kids, elderly men are dying by the hundreds every minute. We ask for help from all the free nations, if they really believe in freedom and democracy.
For Libyans, Egyptians and many other nationalities, this North African country, once ruled by its own dictator, has become a safe haven. Tunisians are watching what is happening just across this border with a sense of apprehension and foreboding. It was an uprising here that inspired Egyptians and now the Libyans. There is fear about what the coming hours and days may hold. Nazanin Mashiri, Al Jazeera, on the Tunisian-Libyan border.
Well, a number of countries have been trying to send planes and ships to Libya to rescue tens of thousands of their citizens who've been caught up in the chaos and the violence. But several of the countries who've been trying to evacuate their citizens say they're finding it difficult to get landing permission at Tripoli airport as Colonel Gaddafi battles to keep his grip on the capital. This is the situation so far. France and Russia have already begun evacuating their citizens on passenger planes that have managed to make it there. Turkey has sent 2 boats to Benghazi to evacuate about 3,000 of its people. And a UK warship is on its way to the Libyan coast. A charter flight will land on Wednesday, we're told, to try and pick up some citizens as well. The US has sent a ferry from Malta for its citizens, and China says it's sending a jet, ships and fishing vessels to help evacuate an estimated 30,000 Chinese who are living in Libya. Well, meanwhile, there has been a lot of international reaction to the events in Libya. Among them, Iran's President Mahmoud Ahmadinejad has given his opinion about the events. He has condemned Libya's use of force and urged the leaders there to give in to the demands of their people.
It's hard to imagine there's a person who can kill his own people or bombard them. That's really ugly. I advise strongly that everyone should allow their people to talk and reply to their demands. They lead these people. How can a ruler bombard his own people and then say if anyone speaks out, I'll kill them? This is not acceptable. People should have freedom and decision-making powers in their own future. This is their right. I think everyone in the world is very shocked at what's happening in Libya. It's really bad. I think they should heed the demands of their people. But of course, as we know, anyone who doesn't respect the will of their people, well, their fate is written.
Well, still to come on the programme, we'll have all the latest from our web desk.
Thanks, Taimur. We're getting plenty of new videos coming in to us and other websites from Libya. I'll have more details on those, including this disturbing footage sent directly to us here at Al Jazeera.
Now, let's not forget that Libya is not the only country in the region that is seeing a popular uprising. Protests have been going on in Yemen for some 2 weeks now. And now 7 members of that country's ruling party have resigned, saying they plan to form a new independent bloc. The resignations come in the wake of news that 2 pro-democracy activists were killed and more than 10 others injured in clashes overnight. Witnesses have said that armed government supporters opened fire on the demonstrators in the capital, Sana'a. Our correspondent Hashim Al-Bara is in Sana'a with the latest.
There appears to be more cracks on the government and the political elite here in Yemen. the Minister of Tourism, Nabil Hassan al-Faqih, has told President Ali Abdullah Saleh that huge reforms are overdue and that Yemen needs early elections in September 2011 without Ali Abdullah Saleh as running as a candidate for the Minister of Tourism. This is the only way to save Yemen from impasse and from further deterioration of the security situation. 8 members of the ruling party have also resigned from the parliament, citing concerns over situation in Yemen and the violent attacks on the pro-democracy protesters. We also understand that the second highest ranking official at the Ministry of Local Administration has also resigned over what he describes as rampant corruption and violent attacks by government loyalists against pro-democracy protesters. Ali Abdullah Saleh remains defiant. He's saying that he understands that people are looking forward to change, but therefore change should be only dictated by ballot box, and that he refuses this whole idea of people inspired by events in Libya, Tunisia and Egypt and taking to the streets to enforce their own agenda of change.
To Europe now. Felicity Barr has details of Europe's response to what's going on in Libya. Felicity.
Thanks very much indeed, Tamor. And concern here about what Italy has warned could be a refugee crisis in Europe. It fears hundreds of thousands of refugees will try to cross the Mediterranean by boat, fleeing that violence in Libya. And at a meeting in Rome of EU interior ministers, Italy called for help from its partners. Meanwhile, Prime Minister Silvio Berlusconi has said he was pleased the, quote, winds of democracy were blowing across Libya. From Rome, Harry Smith reports.
Once again, they demonstrate outside the Libyan embassy in Rome. These are Libyan expatriates forced out of their country by Colonel Gaddafi. Their message is clear. They will stay here until Gaddafi himself is forced to go.
The wall of fear is fallen. The spring of youth has begun in the Arab world.
Across the city, the interior ministers of 6 European countries with Mediterranean borders meet to work out how to deal with an influx of refugees fleeing the turmoil in North Africa. It's a problem the Italians are all too aware of. They've already had to cope with thousands of Tunisians trying to escape from the chaos that has gripped that country. The United Nations is also gearing up for another flood of refugees.
It is a treacherous journey, of course, and it is a treacherous journey also because the type of boats that people have been known to be using in the past are small dinghies, little boats that are not really very seaworthy, and we know that many, thousands of people have drowned in the Mediterranean.
Across Europe, leaders have been reacting to events, some calling for sanctions against Libya.
There has been conversations in the UN and in the UN Security Council. And there was a presidential statement last night that said just how unacceptable this was and that all countries should condemn this sort of violence. Would I like us to go further and have a full United Nations Security Council resolution? Yes, I would.
I think for us the fundamental thing is to say no to violence, but we also need to be careful with regards to what will happen. We, along with other countries, have had relations with these people in power, which we're interested